So real estate agents, listen up very closely because I'm about to share with you the #1 proven real estate lead generation solution in the world. And here's exactly what it is. It doesn't exist. And before you click away and before you get upset because you had this picture in your mind where you sign up to a platform or a software and you sit back and all you have to do is log in, check your calendar for listing appointments, book directly to your calendar, and you had this idea because, quite frankly, the marketplace is filled with this kind of nonsense, but the truth is that these types of things don't exist. And by the way, this is coming from someone who's worked with hundreds of real estate agents, one-on-one, personally, through the last 5 years, and additionally with also some of the top 50 teams in the United States with production, the single agent just getting started. And I've personally analyzed multiple thousands of agents' marketing systems over the years, and I've seen what works, what doesn't work, and the numbers behind those systems. So now you can continue to live in a dream fairy tale land and look for a perfect lead provider or platform, or you can get a realistic view of this and watch the rest of this video to understand exactly how agents were getting a ton of business online outside of their sphere of influence are actually doing it. So first, let's back up for a second because you're probably looking to scale your listing business right now and you're taught by the real estate industry to get more leads. And that's what everybody is focused on. And so when you look around, obviously you decide to do the same. So you start evaluating different lead providers, different softwares, and you sign up to one of them. So you sign up to a software platform like that, and oftentimes you do get some leads, but then those leads tend to be low in quality, regardless usually of the platform. So you call the leads, they don't really respond, or if they do respond, they don't know who you are, don't talk with you, or you're kind of like in an uphill battle, spending your days chasing after people who don't really want to work with you. So most agents think that now it's about the software, it's about the platform, the leads that I'm buying, that's going to be determining my success. But the thing that really matters and gets results is actually not the technology, it's not the lead source, not actually even the leads themselves. It's the marketing message that you have. The technology itself is only a vehicle you use to deliver that message. So even if you have the best software, you have the best tool in the world, if your message itself, that's not working, you will fail. Yet this is what everybody is focused on, and they obsess about lead generation softwares, different channels, and the tools. When you think about getting more listing appointments with your marketing and really boil it down to its core, it comes down to only two main things. #1, how many local homeowners you're able to reach, meaning how many local homeowners you're able to get to pay attention to you, to what you have to say. And #2 is that do those homeowners actually develop the desire to work with you specifically? Now, if these things are not true, you are not going to get the listings. When you focus on leads, when you focus on softwares, really overlook the things that actually matter. You end up looking and sounding like every other agent in your local market, and you won't be able to differentiate. You end up chasing leads that have been given to other agents, and it's an uphill battle that's going to drive you to spin your wheels in the modern era of marketing. So how do you make your marketing work? If not by investing tons of money into lead generation softwares, into marketing channels, or marketing automation tools? Well, right away, determine the outcome that you actually want. What listings do you want specifically? What is your client avatar? And most people, they start with the solution, they start with the software, they start with the marketing channel, they start with all of these different things, but you really have to start with the outcome and then reverse engineer the solution to achieve that. Think about how to differentiate from everybody else and what makes you unique, why should people work with you specifically, and then build reach, how to get in front of thousands of local homeowners, your avatar, if not by investing into lead generation software or a marketing tool. So something interesting I found out after working with real estate agents during the last half a decade is that there's a very crucial thing that successful real estate agents have that unsuccessful real estate agents don't actually have. And it doesn't come down to a solution, because a lot of times people think that, okay, well, the successful real estate agents, they must be using like TikTok, or they must be using some sort of magical lead generation tool, right? But that's actually not the case. A lot of the times the solution itself could be actually exactly the same. A lot of the successful real estate agents could actually be doing things like cold calling, things like door knocking, and still be very successful with it, even though a lot of the unsuccessful real estate agents are using those same exact tool. And so what I found is that successful real estate agents don't use different tools, but actually think about the tools in a very different way. And the way they think about it is from a lens of systems thinking. So when you think about systems thinking and the very core of it, right, very foundations of it, obviously there's a lot of more complicated things we could talk about, such as physics and different things like that. But very core of it is that a system will have four main things. Number one, a system will have inputs. There's something you put into the system. Number two, it's going to have processes, and then from there, it's going to have outputs. And those outputs will feed back into the inputs. So the easiest way to describe this to you is that, let's say you're a real estate agent and you want to spend some money on your marketing. So you need to have an input. You're going to start putting, an example, money into your marketing. So you put in $1,000 to the lead generation tool or to the marketing channel. Now you put that $1,000 in, and now that $1,000 goes into that marketing channel. So let's say that $1,000 goes to, as example, TikTok ads, right? $1,000 goes to TikTok ads, and then from there you start getting outputs. You start getting leads, and from those leads, ideally you would have listing appointments and then listings. And now when you sell that listing, let's say you generate a commission, and your commission is say $10,000. Well, now you put in $1,000, you get $10,000 out, and then from that $10,000, you can now feed that $10,000 back into the inputs, and let's say increase your marketing spend. Instead of $1,000, now you start spending $2,000. And then you run the same process, right? Well, in a similar way, top real estate agents think about their marketing in the same way. They don't think that, okay, the only thing that matters is the inputs. The only thing that matters is how much money I spend, or the only thing that matters is what marketing tool I'm using, right? Then think about the whole instead of thinking about the one individual part. And that's exactly how you want to do your marketing as well. Right away when you start your marketing, define the outcome that you want. Define the output that you actually want. Because the output, what listings do you want specifically, that's going to determine what input you should have in this first place. So you should determine your client avatar in the first place. And that's why that's very problematic, because if you start with the solution, if you start with thinking about TikTok, or you start thinking about lead generation tools only, right, the output you get could be totally random. It just depends on like the solution, the marketing message, and everything else that you put out, right? So that's why you should first determine your client avatar, determine the output that you want, and then use the input that's going to be in alignment with that output. So you have to start from the outcome and then reverse engineer the solution, the input, to achieve the output that you want. And number two, think about how you differentiate yourself from everybody else. What makes you unique? What makes you stand out? What makes those homeowners to desire your services more than anybody else? Because just like we talked with the systems thinking, there are inputs, processes, outputs, and the feedback. In the middle, once you start putting money, once you start putting resources into a certain thing, there's going to be a process that people will go through. And if your process, the way you communicate your marketing message, the way you speak, the way you handle those leads, if that's lacking, it doesn't matter how good the input is. Because just like we talked about, there are extremely successful real estate agents that do things like cold calling or door knocking, right? Well, that tool, that input is exactly the same as everybody else's. Again, because the processes, the way they do it, that's so much better. That's why they're so successful. The same applies to your marketing, right? So the way you use a marketing tool, the way you kind of nurture your leads, the way you handle your leads, the way you differentiate yourself, that's going to make a significant difference, because that's the process that's in between the output that you're going to be getting. So think about, again, how you differentiate from everybody else, what makes you unique, why should people work with you specifically. So now that you have done this, now that you have determined the ideal client avatar you want to work with, you have determined the exact output you want to get, you have also built an incredibly great marketing machine that's going to get people to know you, like you, trust you, and desire really to work with you. Now we can start thinking about the inputs. How do we reach thousands of those people in a cost-effective, large-scale type of a way, where you have thousands of those exact people seeing you over and over again, considering you as the agent, and ultimately reach out to you for help. And now we can start thinking about the different tools that you want to use, because there's so many different tools, but only a couple of them, maybe one of them is actually the right one for you. And also, it's not just about the client, it's also about you, right? There are specific ways that's going to be optimal, efficient ways for you to deliver your marketing message. For some personality types, I know, okay, cold calling, door knocking, that's going to be the way to go. But again, probably for around 80-90% of the people, it's going to be something else. So instead of taking the easy way out, just try to think about the inputs, right? Think about the marketing solutions or lead providers, things like that, or try to find a quick fix for it. it is kind of like that fence that goes up, it does come down fast. So really, even if you find a magical marketing tool, you find a great lead provider, oftentimes, just like with Zillow about 10-15 years ago, it's a fence that goes up fast, it's gonna come down fast. And nowadays, people who use Zillow, obviously the ROIs are not there as much as it were, again, 10-15 years ago. So instead of taking that easy way out and thinking about it even too, like trying to find that quick fix, right? Let's say you did find a quick fix. You actually found a lead source in your market that's working really well, right? You get extremely good leads, just get people coming in, reaching out, and you spend very little money. Even if you did find that, at the end of the day, it's kind of like that fence that goes up fast, it does come down fast as well. So having talked to, again, thousands of agents, I know, like, even if there are things like that, they usually fall out very quickly. Maybe they last for a month or two, but then after that, they're pretty much gone. Things like, as an example, Zillow leads were extremely good back in the day, but nowadays, I mean, the lead volume is very small, there's competition, and the cost is just extremely high. So agents that even were good with the Zillow leads back in the day no longer can really run their business that profitably as they used to were. So really make that decision to look a layer deeper than most people. Start thinking about it in terms of systems, in terms of wholes, instead of just individual part. And that's how you create an incredibly big edge for yourself. Because right now in the current marketplace, I would say probably 90% of realtors have no idea how to build a marketing process where everything else is kind of connected together. So once you start thinking about your business in this specific way, a lot of things will start changing in your business. Because what I found out is that a lot of times people that don't have this thinking struggle with consistency. They struggle with finding that performance in their business. They struggle with really scaling up their business. So once you start doing this, your business will really start to be a lot more clear. You'll start seeing, okay, when I put this in, this is what I can expect on the other end. And when you do get that output, right, that's going to be output that you actually want. It's not going to be the clients that you have to drive 3 hours to. It's not going to be the people you don't want to work with, because you have built your marketing system in this exact way. Additionally, the scale of your business will start to grow. You start growing yourself a team, you start growing yourself, your GCI to higher levels, because now, again, it's all very clearly laid out as far as what you need to do to get a specific outcome. Additionally, of course, when you build your processes in a great way, your ROI from your marketing will increase significantly. Because let's face it, if your tool for marketing is very, very simple, anybody can come in, whip out your credit card and get that tool, and your competitive edge is gone. So when you're able to build a system like this, you're gonna build yourself an edge, you're gonna build yourself a moat around your business. And this way, again, it's gonna be much more evergreen, it's gonna be much more long lasting, which is ultimately what you probably want. Something that's gonna be there for years to come, instead of something that's just gonna be there for a couple of days here and there. So again, this way you'll be able to think about your business sort of like a billionaire and build up a successful real estate business that's going to be there for years to come and absolutely crush it in today's marketplace.